When you stand in front of the mirror, do you see magic or do you see mistakes? Do you witness a soul glowing with untapped brilliance, or do you stare at a stranger cloaked in self-doubt? The truth is, the mirror has never lied. It's only ever reflected what you believe about yourself. And belief, that's the real magic. That's where transformation begins. Because the moment you decide to look deeper, the moment you dare to meet your own eyes with unwavering courage, you don't just change your reflection, you rewrite your entire story. The mirror doesn't hold power over you. You hold power over what the mirror reflects. That rectangle of glass hanging on your wall isn't there to criticize you. It's there to remind you who you truly are beneath the layers of fear, hesitation, and programming. The mirror is a mentor, a silent guide, a place where you meet yourself in raw truth and sacred potential. And when you finally start seeing not just who you are, but who you're becoming, when you stop judging and start loving, stop doubting and start declaring, you activate the frequency of self-creation. That's mirror magic. And when you master that, you mentor yourself into the most powerful version of your life. The mirror reflects belief, not just appearance. This concept is more than a motivational line. It's a deep truth about the relationship between perception and identity. When you stand in front of the mirror, you may think you're simply seeing your face, your features, your flaws or strengths, but what you're truly seeing is filtered through the lens of your inner world. What you believe about yourself, your worth, your beauty, your power, your identity shapes what that reflection says to you. Two people can look at the same mirror and see completely different versions of themselves, not because the mirror changes, but because their belief systems do. We live in a world that constantly trains us to look outward for approval and validation. Social media, society, relationships, even family narratives can teach us to judge ourselves based on how we compare or how we're seen. Over time, these outer messages become inner truths. You start looking into the mirror, and instead of seeing possibility, you see limitation. Instead of radiance, you see reasons you're not enough. The mirror becomes a place of judgment, not celebration. But the truth is, the mirror only reflects what you've already decided to be true on the inside. It echoes your beliefs, amplifies your inner narrative, and projects your self-concept right back at you. That's why when your belief changes, everything changes. If you decide to believe you are capable, the mirror reflects a confident posture, a powerful energy, an intentional spark in your eyes. If you believe you're unworthy, the same mirror will show fatigue, hesitation, even sadness, not because it's painting you differently, but because belief changes perception. Your body language shifts, your energy changes, and those subtle cues speak louder than any cosmetic feature ever could. This is the secret so many miss. The mirror is not your enemy, it's a tool, a reflection of your own inner story. Once you grasp this, you start to reclaim your power. You realize that transformation doesn't start with makeup or clothes or body changes. It starts with mindset. You start affirming new truths and watching how the mirror begins to validate those declarations. You begin to notice your eyes sparkle differently when you speak words of love and encouragement to yourself. You see how your reflection responds when you approach it with reverence rather than criticism. You see that your smile is more genuine when it's not forced for others but grown from inner joy. The magic lies in your intention, not your image. So instead of avoiding the mirror or only using it to scrutinize imperfections, begin to use it as a space for connection. Look into your own eyes like you would a friend who needs support. Speak to yourself as a mentor would, to lift, guide, and awaken something deeper. The more often you do this, the stronger your belief becomes. And the stronger your belief becomes, the more aligned your reflection grows with the person you're becoming. The mirror becomes a portal, not a judge, a sacred space, not a measuring stick. And day by day, belief transforms reality. When you walk away from the mirror, you carry that energy into the world. People notice, circumstances shift, your choices get bolder. Why? Because you believed something different, and that changed what the mirror could reflect. You stop seeing flaws and start seeing foundation. You stop seeing limits and start seeing leadership. That's the real mirror magic, when belief becomes the brush that paints your entire reality. And it all starts with what you decide to see. You are your own mentor. That truth, once embraced, becomes one of the most powerful forces in your life. Too many people wait for someone to come along and unlock their potential, a coach, a friend, a partner, a leader, but the real shift happens when you realize that the person you've been waiting for is already in the mirror. No one knows your pain like you do. No one understands your dreams like you do. No one hears your inner thoughts, battles, or breakthroughs the way you do. That makes you the most qualified person to guide yourself into your highest self. The world often conditions us to rely on outside validation. We're taught to wait for permission, to look for approval before we believe in our capabilities. But when you internalize the identity of your own mentor, everything changes. You stop asking others if you're good enough and start telling yourself that you are. You begin to trust your intuition instead of suppressing it. You start owning your evolution. You no longer wait for encouragement, you give it to yourself. And with that shift, your energy transforms. You begin to radiate a quiet confidence that others can feel, not because you're loud, but because you're rooted. You're no longer reaching out for direction, you're tuning in for wisdom. This is not about being alone or rejecting support. It's about learning how to be your own foundation so that everything else becomes an enhancement, not a necessity. When you mentor yourself, your inner dialogue becomes your most powerful teacher. You recognize when your thoughts are self-sabotaging and you correct them with love. You see when fear is trying to mask itself as logic and you move forward anyway. You coach yourself through resistance. You challenge your excuses. You celebrate your progress, even when no one else sees it. That's what real mentorship looks like from within. Being your own mentor also means honoring your truth even when it's uncomfortable. It means calling yourself higher, not out of punishment, but from love. You hold yourself accountable because you know what you're capable of. You don't let yourself settle, not because you're not enough, but because you know there's more in you. You become the voice that says, get up when you've fallen. You become the presence that whispers, keep going when the path feels unclear. You become the energy that says, you were made for this when no one else is clapping. That's the voice of a true mentor, and it lives inside you. You don't need permission to step into that role. You don't need credentials. You just need willingness, the willingness to look yourself in the eye and say, I've got me. When you start treating yourself like someone worth mentoring, you start living like someone worth celebrating. You create your own rituals of support, mirror talks, affirmations, journaling, reflection. You take responsibility for your growth. You become the guide your past self needed and the leader your future self is waiting for. Others may inspire you, but only you can transform you. That's the distinction that sets empowered people apart. They don't deny the need for connection, but they never outsource their power. They know that mentorship isn't just about being led, it's about choosing to lead themselves first. That choice, repeated daily, builds a foundation that no circumstance can shake, and it all starts with the belief that you are capable of guiding your own rise. So the next time you find yourself seeking answers or waiting for reassurance, pause and remember this truth. You are your own mentor. You have access to wisdom, strength, resilience, and clarity that no one else can provide for you. And when you choose to embody that identity, when you begin to lead yourself with intention, you no longer just exist, you elevate. You no longer just survive, you shine. You become the mirror magic mentor your life has always needed. Speak power into your reflection. This is more than a feel-good idea. It's a practical, transformational act that changes the way you experience yourself and the world around you. Every word you speak in front of the mirror shapes your identity, your energy, and your direction. When you speak doubt, your posture slouches, your eyes dim, and your inner world contracts. But when you speak power, your shoulders lift, your gaze strengthens, and your inner world expands with possibility. Your reflection is not just passive glass, it's a living echo of the beliefs you feed it. What you say in front of the mirror becomes the seed of what you live outside of it. Many people underestimate the importance of self-talk, especially when it's done aloud. We're quick to speak kindness to others and withhold it from ourselves. We motivate friends, encourage loved ones, cheer on strangers, but go silent or negative when it comes to our own reflection. That silence is not neutral, it leaves a void, and that void often gets filled with old programming, critical voices, and subconscious doubts. That's why speaking power into your reflection is a conscious act of rewriting your story. It's an intentional interruption of the old narrative, and it works not because the words are magical on their own, but because they invite your body and mind to believe something new. When you look into your eyes and say, I am worthy, even if it feels unfamiliar, your nervous system listens. When you declare, I am powerful, you start noticing moments where you actually feel that way. When you say, I can do this, your brain begins to seek evidence to support it. Speaking power isn't about pretending you don't have challenges. It's about choosing to meet those challenges with strength and self-belief. And it becomes especially effective when you speak it directly to your reflection. because there's something sacred about witnessing yourself as you declare truth. It creates an emotional imprint. It makes your words more real. These moments of mirror dialogue don't need to be long or elaborate. A simple sentence said with intention can shift your entire mood. A few powerful declarations each morning can frame your day in confidence and clarity. Over time, these statements become more than just words. They become your default setting. They replace insecurity with conviction, confusion with direction, and fear with faith. But it takes consistency. The mirror reflects back whatever you've been rehearsing. So if you've been practicing criticism, the reflection will echo that. But when you start practicing love, strength, and vision, the mirror transforms and so do you. There's an energetic frequency to every word you speak. Words carry vibration, and that vibration affects your cells, your emotions, and your momentum. That's why your reflection responds differently when you speak powerfully. You may notice you stand taller, your eyes gleam, your energy feels lighter. That's not imagination, it's alignment. You're syncing your inner and outer worlds through language. And that alignment draws in more of what matches it: better relationships, greater opportunities, more self-trust. This isn't about ego or arrogance, it's about ownership, owning your value, owning your energy, owning your narrative. When you speak power into your reflection, you reclaim your voice from the hands of doubt. You become the storyteller again. And from that place, anything is possible. This practice grounds you when the world feels loud. It uplifts you when circumstances feel heavy. It anchors you to your truth when everything else tries to distract you from it. So take the time, look in the mirror, speak with intention, declare who you are and who you're becoming. Let the mirror hear your boldness. Let your reflection witness your evolution. The world will catch up to the energy you speak into your own life. But first, you have to believe it enough to say it. Out loud, face to face. Word by word, you create the version of you that no doubt can shake and no circumstance can steal. Mirror rituals fuel confidence and clarity. They are small but powerful acts that turn everyday reflection into a sacred experience. A mirror ritual isn't about vanity or surface appearance. It's about consistency, intention, and connection. When you build a daily habit of showing up for yourself in the mirror with love, truth, and focus, you begin rewiring the way you see yourself and reinforcing the identity you are becoming. It's not about faking confidence, it's about creating a space to grow it day by day. When you commit to a mirror ritual, you train your mind and body to associate the act of seeing yourself with power rather than judgment. You change the tone of your inner dialogue. Instead of passing the mirror and seeing everything that needs to be fixed, you start recognizing your progress, your resilience, and your presence. You begin to engage with your reflection like a trusted friend, a student, a leader, or even a coach. You develop a new relationship with yourself, one that's based on truth and compassion rather than criticism or comparison. Confidence isn't something that appears overnight. It's built through small, consistent actions. When you look in the mirror every day and affirm your strength, acknowledge your effort, and hold your gaze with love, you reinforce the message that you are enough. That message, repeated daily, becomes a foundation. And from that foundation, confidence grows, not from pretending you have it all together, but from witnessing yourself show up even when you don't. It becomes a quiet, unshakable knowing that you are evolving, that you are becoming, and that you are worthy of standing fully in your light. Mirror rituals also create space for clarity. In a world that constantly bombards you with noise and distraction, these moments in front of the mirror become sacred pauses. You get to ask yourself real questions. How am I feeling today? What do I need right now? What energy do I want to carry into the world? This kind of self-check-in isn't just reflective, it's directive. It helps you align your choices, your intentions, and your energy with the life you're building. That alignment brings focus, and focus creates momentum. There's also power in the simplicity of mirror rituals. You don't need fancy routines or elaborate steps. Sometimes it's one deep breath and a single affirmation. Sometimes it's taking 2 minutes to look into your own eyes and say, "You've got this." Other times it's standing tall, grounding your feet, rolling your shoulders back, and claiming your space with presence. The key is consistency. The more often you show up, the more deeply these rituals shape your self-image. And this isn't just mental or emotional, it becomes physical. Over time, your posture shifts. You hold your head higher, your eyes soften, your presence changes. People notice something different even if they can't name it. That difference is you living from a grounded identity. That difference is the result of daily devotion to self-recognition and self-respect. Mirror rituals also help you track your growth. You begin to see not just changes in your face or body, but in your energy. You remember the days you showed up in pain and still declared your power. You remember the mornings you were tired but chose to speak hope. You remember the turning points, the days you started seeing yourself as capable, beautiful, and enough. That history builds legacy. It gives you proof, and that proof becomes your strength. This practice doesn't need an audience. It's private, personal, and powerful. It's not about who's watching. It's about who you are becoming. Mirror rituals remind you that confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. Clarity isn't something you hope for. It's something you choose. And both are waiting in your reflection every time you dare to meet your own eyes with truth. Transformation is rooted in self-presence, not perfection. This truth is what frees you from the exhausting cycle of trying to fix yourself before you're allowed to feel worthy, lovable, or enough. So many people wait to feel confident until they hit a goal. They delay their happiness until the circumstances are perfect. They believe that once they look a certain way, achieve a certain success, or gain a certain approval, then they'll finally be allowed to stand tall and love themselves. But the real shift happens not when you finally become perfect. It happens when you decide to be fully present with yourself right here, right now, exactly as you are. Perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target that keeps you in a loop of shame and inadequacy. The standard always shifts the moment you get close to it. But presence is real. Presence is powerful. Presence is the act of showing up with yourself, not to fix, not to criticize, but to witness. When you are present with your reflection, you are no longer performing or pretending. You're simply saying, I see me, I accept me, I choose to be with me. And that is where real transformation begins. Not in the chase for flawless, but in the choice to be fully here. Self-presence means you're willing to stand in the mirror, even on the days when you feel tired, overwhelmed, or insecure. It means you don't disappear from yourself when life gets hard. You don't avoid your own eyes because you're uncomfortable with your current state. Instead, you stay. You breathe. You meet yourself with compassion. And that consistency, that loyalty to yourself builds something unshakable. It builds trust. And trust becomes the foundation for lasting growth. When you are present with yourself, you begin to understand your patterns, your needs, your rhythms. You stop judging every emotion and start getting curious about it. You stop fighting yourself and start learning from yourself. Presence allows you to notice when you're out of alignment and gently guide yourself back, not with shame, but with love. This is the opposite of perfectionism. Perfectionism says, don't mess up. Presence says, even when you do, you're still worthy of love. That shift is what gives you the strength to keep evolving. Transformation through presence is sustainable. When you're not chasing a fantasy version of yourself, you can work with what's real. You can build from where you are. You can celebrate small progress instead of shaming slow progress. You start to see your growth in more meaningful ways, in your ability to regulate your emotions, in how you treat yourself when no one's watching, in how you bounce back from hard days. These things matter more than surface changes because they last. They are the inner evidence of real change. Self-presence also brings you into deeper alignment with your intuition. When you're no longer distracted by unrealistic standards, you can actually hear yourself. You know when something feels off. You know what you need. You know how to advocate for your own well-being. You stop outsourcing your sense of self to the opinions of others because you've already met yourself in truth. That kind of clarity doesn't come from achieving perfection. It comes from choosing to be honest and present. So the next time you're tempted to beat yourself up for not being where you think you should be, pause, look in the mirror and simply be with yourself. No goals, no edits, no pressure, just presence. That moment of grounded awareness is more powerful than 100 self-improvement strategies because it tells your soul, I am with you, I've got you. And when your soul feels seen, it begins to soften, to open, to trust. That's when transformation becomes natural, not forced. It flows from within. It grows from your willingness to be here, flawed, human, evolving, and fully present in your becoming. Inner alignment creates outer attraction. This isn't just a nice idea, it's a powerful truth about how energy works, how transformation unfolds, and how you become magnetic to the life you desire. Most people think they have to chase the right circumstances, the right people, or the right timing to get what they want. They believe they have to change everything outside of themselves first. But what actually shifts your world is when you get aligned with who you are on the inside. When your thoughts, beliefs, energy, and actions start to reflect your truth, your desires begin to find you instead of you having to constantly run after them. Alignment is the inner harmony between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. It's when your self-talk supports your vision, when your habits match your goals, when your energy is in agreement with your intentions. That kind of alignment creates a frequency that the outside world responds to. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to beg the universe for love, money, success, or peace. When you become aligned with those things internally, they begin to appear externally because your energy becomes the invitation. Think of your inner alignment like tuning an instrument. If your mind is playing one note, your heart another, and your behavior something entirely different, the sound is discordant. But when everything within you starts playing the same note, it becomes music. People can feel that clarity. Opportunities respond to that consistency. Life begins to move in rhythm with you. You stop fighting for your place and start flowing in your purpose. The mirror no longer reflects confusion or chaos. It reflects calm, confidence, and intention. That's why mirror work is so important in building inner alignment. When you stand in front of your reflection and affirm what you truly want to believe, you begin syncing your inner and outer selves. You practice being the person you say you want to be. You look into your own eyes and align your words with your truth. That practice grounds your energy and builds coherence in your identity. It reminds you of your power and brings you back to your center. And from that center, you make decisions that reflect your worth. Inner alignment also makes you more resilient. When life throws challenges your way, and it will, being aligned helps you stay grounded. Instead of spiraling into doubt or reaction, you return to your truth. You remember who you are. You remember what you're building. You no longer need the world to be perfect for you to feel peace, because your peace comes from being in alignment, not from everything going your way. That's real power. That's real freedom. As you continue to show up for yourself, the outside world starts to rearrange itself to match your vibration. You'll notice you're attracting different conversations, different relationships, different opportunities. You'll feel more seen, more supported, and more in flow, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. Your clarity changed your energy changed your magnetism, and your magnetism began to shape your reality. You don't need to force attraction. You don't need to chase alignment. You need to become it, speak it, live it, feel it, and trust it. Make it a daily practice. Check in with yourself. Ask, does this thought align with who I want to be? Does this action reflect my self-worth? Does this energy feel like peace or pressure? When the answer is yes, you're in alignment. And in alignment, you glow differently. You walk differently. You speak differently. And the world notices, not because you're trying to be impressive, but because you are authentic. Your inner world is the blueprint for your outer experience. When you build that inner foundation with love, honesty, and belief, everything else begins to mirror that truth. That's the core of mirror magic. That's the essence of becoming a magnet for everything meant for you. It starts within. It starts now. And it starts with the choice to align.